Hi everybody, happy Wednesday. In today's video, I'm demonstrating a really quick and easy bridal makeup look for you. This look is sort of my take, a more modern take on the traditional bridal makeup applications that you see. I'm actually not doing any liquid liner in today's video. I'm creating this look using shadows from the MAC Semi Sweet x9 palette. This is it here. This is one of my favorite palettes to use. If you're somebody that does a lot of bridal work, I think you will find that this palette will come in very handy for you. The look I'm showing you is sort of a combination between a really soft cat eye and a cut crease. It's a great look for your clients that are maybe a little bit uncomfortable with wearing a heavy makeup look for their wedding day. It's great for those clients that ask to have makeup that makes them look like a more enhanced version of themselves. And it's also a great look to try to master for those of you that are just getting into bridal makeup because it is fairly simple. This look for me personally would probably take me about 20 or 25 minutes to execute. So it's good for those of you who become really crunched for time with your bridal makeup applications. And you can do this look on a bride, a bridesmaid, mother of the bride. You know, it's pretty versatile that way. You can do this look with any combination of shadows. I use a false lash in this video. You don't have to use a full strip lash. You can use the individuals or the lash trios or no lash at all. You can just do a couple coats of mascara. Whatever makes your client happy is definitely what you want to do. I'm gonna apologize for the terrible job that I did at filming the lash application. I'm gonna have to do maybe a lash application video separately. It's really hard for me to record it properly when I'm actually applying makeup. I can never get the right angle and my hand's always in front of the eye when I'm doing the lash application. So I'm really sorry that you're not going to be able to see a lot when I apply the lashes. So I will work on that, and I know that is something that you guys are requesting. For this makeup application, I used this Kiss blowout lash, and it's a really super wispy style, which I traditionally love for bridal makeup applications, but I'm not actually thrilled with how it looked with this specific makeup application, and I would do a couple things differently with the lash, but I'll talk about that at the end of the video. So let's get to the makeup application. Here is Riley's before photo. So let's start with Riley's skin. Riley has really great skin, and she has freckles just along the hairline and across the bridge of her nose. Now, when you are working with bridal clients who want a natural look, it's important that you keep some of these features visible through the makeup. So with the foundation application, I want to make sure that these freckles show through. If you have a client that wants a natural makeup application and you cover the freckles completely, they're going to feel like they're wearing a ton of makeup, and it's not a look that they're probably going to be happy with at the end of the day. Riley has fuller brows. I want to keep them looking as natural as possible, so I'm going to be very cautious about filling them in. I want to make sure they don't get too dark after I fill them in with brow powder. Her lip color also has a nice natural pigment. I don't want to fight against this and use something that's lighter. That is something that as a client she probably wouldn't be happy with because it's going to seem very unnatural. So I will probably choose a lipstick that is close to the shade of her natural lip color. And for the rest of her face, I want to make sure that the makeup application looks very natural, so I'm not going to be doing a lot of heavy contouring. I want to keep everything looking really soft and romantic, so not a lot of contouring, not a lot of structure in the shape of the face. And when I apply blush, I want to make sure that it just sweeps across the apples of the cheeks for a softer, more natural look. I'm starting with skin prep, which is a really important part of your bridal makeup application, so I'm removing surface oil with Bioderma on a cotton pad. Before I continue on with removing the rest of the surface oil on her skin, I just want to apply a little bit of the Bite Beauty lip mask, which is great for bridal clients, so this can sit on her lips throughout the duration of the makeup application to make sure they're nice and hydrated. I'm removing the surface oil on the eyelid. This is a very important step. Make sure you don't skip over this. This will help with the longevity of your eyeshadow application. I like to make sure that the under eye area is really well hydrated. I prefer to use the Bioderma Sensibio gel, especially with my clients that have combination skin. Sinks in really quickly and doesn't leave a lot of residue that can migrate into the T-zone. Riley does have a combination skin, and her skin was already well hydrated before I started, so I'm not putting on any additional moisturizer. I'm going in with a MAC mattifying gel. If you are using a mattifying gel, make sure you get right in there around the outer corner of the nose, on the upper lip, and on the chin. This will help with oil and sweat throughout the day. Riley has a more neutral skin tone, so she's in between that pink and yellow range, so I'm taking Face Atelier foundation in number 3, and I'm mixing it with RCMA foundation in porcelain. The mix of the two foundations is really great for a bridal makeup application. with the pigment from the RCMA and the Face Atelier, I know this foundation is going to last the entire day. And the RCMA sort of brings down that more dewy finish of the Face Atelier, which is great for Riley's combination skin. I like to start with the eyeshadow application to save myself some time. I start with an eyeshadow base. In this case, it's the MAC Prep+Prime. It's one of my favorite products to use, especially for bridal. Do not rush through this step if you are using an eyeshadow primer. Make sure the primer is on smoothly, especially right at the lash line. You don't want to have any eyeshadow skipping across the skin on the lash line. I'm then going in with the MAC Studio Fix foundation as a base shadow. I find for me this technique works so well in terms of having a smooth eyeshadow application and the longevity of the eye makeup throughout the day. As I mentioned, Riley's brows are a little bit darker, so I do want to be careful not to fill them in too much. With a natural makeup application, you have to really preserve the way the client's face looks naturally. So drawing on a new brow in this case is not something I'm interested in doing. I'm just filling the brows in where she needs it. I do want to make sure that the whole look is cohesive, and if I'm going for a natural bridal look, having really strong brows is not an option. I'm choosing to use a brow powder, which is great for a combination skin type, and it's a softer, more natural look. This is the MAC Semi Sweet x9 palette, one of my favorite palettes for bridal. All the shadows in this palette are matte. I'm using the shadows in the lower left-hand corner of the palette. These are cooler in tone, so they'll work really well with Riley's skin. If you're ever unsure about what shadows to use, just work with shadows that are the same undertone as your client's skin, whether it's cool or warm. That's a good place to start. So I'm using the second lightest shadow in the palette. I'm just applying this all over the lid. I'm making sure to pack on the color gradually to make sure everything goes on smoothly and everything is well blended. There should be no hard edges in a soft romantic look like this. So you'll see me repeatedly go back and forth with this eyeshadow brush, pack on the shadow, and make sure that everything is blended out well. It's also important to make sure that the shadow is blended right down to the lash line. I'm going to add some highlighter under the brow. I do want to make sure that everything is very well blended on the lid, so that's why I like to add some highlighter at this point. I also drag the highlighter just down to the center of the lid. When I apply more shadow over top, this highlighter will peek through a little bit, and it's just a nice touch to a matte eyeshadow look. Back to the Semi Sweet x9 palette, I'm using a deeper shade now. This is where we're gonna start to create that very soft, almost cat eye cut crease type of shape. So you can see that I'm taking my time. I'm just very gradually adding shadow. You don't wanna go overboard with this type of look. You need to be fast and accurate with your makeup applications, especially for your bridal clients, because you don't have a lot of time. So I'm taking this Stilazzi brush and I'm just working this deeper shadow in the outer corner of the eye. Here I'm just making sure everything is nice and well blended on the center of the eyelid. Because I am skipping the traditional liquid liner that you always see in bridal makeup applications, I do still want to make sure that her eyes stand out and that the false lash that I'm going to be applying blends well into the lash line without having to use a liquid liner. So I'm going in with a deeper shadow and a more dense brush along the lash line, and then I'm going to make sure that the base of the lash is nice and dark by using an angled brush and this Urban Decay black shadow. Don't be afraid to get right in there with the shadow and hold your client's eyelid up and have them look down so you can get right to the base of the lash. Of course, having a waterproof mascara is really important for your bridal makeup applications, so don't skip that. You can apply as many coats of mascara as you like. I just chose to do one, but if your client isn't wearing a false lash, you can do a couple coats, whatever makes them happy. Moving on to the lash application, I'm so sorry I did not do a good job at filming this. I like to apply the glue on the lash band. I will actually let the glue dry for about a minute before I apply it. I'll pop the lash into the lash line with my fingers, and then I'll go in with the Velour Too Easy lash applicator highlighter to make sure that the lash is pressed right into that lash line, so there's no gap between the client's lash and the false lashes, and you can get right into the inner and outer corners, and your fingers and hands aren't right in their eyes with this thing. So it's a great tool if you work a lot with false lashes. It's something I love to use, and I think it makes my job easier in terms of lash application. Now these lashes I am not 100% happy with, and we'll talk about this at the end of the video. And just removing any fallout or residue or lash glue that's stuck to the lower lash line with a Q-tip and some Bioderma before I move on with the rest of the makeup application. Moving on now to the rest of the foundation application, I'm using that same Face Atelier and RCMA combo. In previous videos, you've seen me create definition and contour with using different colors of foundation, different shades of foundation. In this case, I'm not going to be doing that. For bridal, especially with my clients who want a natural look and have oily or combination skin, there's Ozzy walking through our shot. I don't like to do a lot of contouring because I like to keep a minimal amount of product on the face, and I'll be doing that with a powder product once the foundation is set for a nice natural look. For bridal makeup applications as well, I love using Cinema Secrets foundation and corrector as under eye concealer. Goes on very smoothly, you don't need a lot, and of course it's waterproof and sweat proof, which is perfect for bridal. Before I set everything with powder, I'm going to apply just a fine layer of cream blush. I like to layer cream blush and powder blush for bridal makeup applications. It just ensures that that blush color stays true throughout the length of the wedding day. So I'm applying it with a more dense brush and then going in with that larger brush from Real Techniques to blend out any hard edges. Now going in and setting everything with Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. The Laura Mercier stuff I love for bridal. It just gives a really nice soft airbrushed finish to the makeup look, especially with your combination skins. Just be sure to set in that brow area and of course around the nose, on the upper lip, and on the chin as well. Now adding some definition and dimension to this look with the Makeup Forever Pro Artist Color. I'm using one of the sculpting powders here because it's natural, because she's a combination oily skin type. I don't want a lot of cream products on her skin for a really long day, so this is why I'm doing this with a powder product and not with a cream contour. Adding a second layer of blush, I'm using the MAC Extra Dimension blush, which is becoming one of my favorite products for bridal. This blush is not a matte blush, so it looks really healthy on the skin, doesn't leave the cheeks and eye area looking chalky. I'm adding just a tiny bit of highlighter from the Hyper Real Glow palette. With combination skin, you just have to be cautious about how much highlighter you use because it can look very oily on camera if you're not careful. So try to contain your highlighter applications and only use it where you need it. This is a trick that I haven't shown you yet. This is an industrial strength brow gel. It's just the got-to-be spiking glue. I love using this as brow gel, especially for bridal. It keeps every single hair in place and the brows will stay that way for the duration of the event, so it's a great trick. I'm now going in with some more waterproof mascara on a fan brush. This is a quick way to make sure that there are no gaps between the false lash and the real lash, and it also makes sure that any of the glue that's dried that might be a bit shiny kind of mats that down so you get a nice dark lash line. Moving on to the lips, I'm not using a long wearing lip color. I'm just removing the excess with a baby wipe. I'm using some Studio Fix on a brush to give my lip liner something to grab onto. I've chosen MAC lip liner in Subculture, which is just a nude lip liner, very similar to the color of her lips naturally. So this is my base layer of color for our lipstick application. Going in with MAC lipstick in Spirit. Again, just something that looks really natural, enhances her lips a bit, but is not overkill and balances well with the rest of the makeup look. I'm going to seal everything in with the Urban Decay De-Slick Setting Spray. This will control oil and just lock in the makeup for the rest of the day. And there's Riley's final look. She really just looks like an enhanced version of herself. So this is a look that is really versatile, especially for those clients that don't feel comfortable with wearing a lot of makeup on their wedding day. I'm sure a lot of you are surprised to see that my makeup application for bridal is not really that much different from some of the other makeup applications that I've filmed for you. A lot of of my work outside of bridal has sort of the same requirements. The model or client has to look like themselves. They can't be overly made up. The makeup has to last for an extended period of time on set. So for those of you that ask if I have a bridal specific kit, I definitely don't. I like to keep the products in my kit as versatile as possible so I don't have to carry a lot of extra stuff with me. So whether I am shooting a commercial or I'm doing a wedding, it's the same products that I work with because they give me great results for those makeup applications that have to last hours and hours and hours and hours. In future videos, I'm going to be doing some more dramatic makeup applications. I'll be talking about clients that are really sweaty or if you're doing makeup in hot climate. And there are a couple products that I would use specifically for that, but we will get to that in another video. This makeup application, the way that I applied the makeup, it will last 10 to 12 hours. The bride or bridesmaid that you're doing the makeup on may have to touch up some shine throughout the wedding day, but in terms of the look overall, it will stay looking like that for a very long period of time. There are a couple of you that have asked about the long wearing lipsticks. For my bridal clients, I do not use long wearing liquid lipsticks unless there is a special request. I don't think they look that great personally. They're very uncomfortable to wear for a long period of time. And a lot of my clients actually prefer to just use normal lipstick or a tinted lip balm. So you're gonna wanna work with your client on that. As you saw in this video, I just did a lip liner and lipstick. In the touch-up kit that I provide my bridal clients, I will scrape out some of the lipstick that I use from my kit and put it in a little jar for them with a lip wand so they will be able to touch their lips up throughout the day if they need to. And that seems to work for me for a lot of my bridal clients. You can use a lipstick primer as well. I prefer the MAC one, but it's totally up to you and it's what you work out with your client in terms of what they want to have with their lipstick. Lipstick's the one thing that brides are very specific about, and it has to be a color that they're comfortable with, and it has to be something that feels comfortable as well. A lot of my clients actually tell me that they hate wearing lipstick, so I try to come up with a color that is not too overpowering, and I use a consistency that is very comfortable for them to wear. So things like the type of lipstick that you choose and the type of lash that you choose, it really does come down to what your client is comfortable with. Let's talk about the lashes now, and we'll talk about why I did not like working with this lash. So just as a side note, for me, generally speaking, with my bridal applications, I've always used either the Kiss or Ardell lashes. Those are the two brands that work for me. They're affordable. You can buy them in bulk, and they're very easy to use and very easy to apply. When I have clients that have a really large bridal party and they hire me, I may gift the bride with a more luxury lash, something like a velour lash, or you can use whatever more expensive lash you want. Totally up to you. You don't have to do that, but it is something nice for your bride. So that's what I do. This Kiss lash, it's a blowout lash. It's a little bit different from their traditional wispy style. It's more three-dimensional and it is really wispy. The problem that I have with this Kiss lash is that I feel like it doesn't taper off enough in the inner corner. And I went online after I finished filming this video because I was not happy with the way the lashes looked. And I noticed that it looked the same on a lot of people who were wearing this lash style. So what you didn't see, because the camera actually stopped recording, is when I first put the lash on Riley, I had it very close to the inner corner. And because the wispy part of the lash on the inner corner is kind of chunky, it looked really odd close to the inner corner of the eye. So I decided to move it a little bit further out, and that's what you see in this video. When Riley looks towards the camera, and I'll try to pull up this picture so that you can see it, the lash looks kind of chunky on the inner corner, even after moving it. And I think that's because this lash style is not as tapered as some of the other Kiss styles that I'm used to. And it ends kind of abruptly on the inner corner of the eye, and I don't think that looks natural. And so that's kind of what bugs me about this style. But sometimes that's the look of a really wispy lash. And because this lash is so layered, it kind of curls up differently and it's more noticeable when you're looking at the client head on. So here's what I would do differently with this type of lash. And as I said before, I love wispy lash styles for bridal. I think they look really classy, they look really romantic, they're not overpowering, and I do love this lash style, but I think I would use this as more of a lash trio and cut it up, and I would definitely cut off the lash, the inner corner of the lash, and maybe replace it with some individuals so the lash just tapers more naturally into the inner corner of the eye, because right now the way this style is, it's just too chunky for me. Some of you love it and your clients love it, then do what they love. But when I was looking at the footage of this video, it was just bugging me that that cluster of lash on the inner corner of the eye was not as tapered as I like it. But I still really do like the style, and I love Kiss lashes, so I think I might just have to work with these lashes a little bit differently in the future. That's it for this week's video. I know for sure it would definitely be even more helpful if I could do these types of makeup applications on quote unquote real people, but unfortunately the way things work for me right now, I have a very erratic schedule. I'm quite busy at the moment. It's busy season, and it's been a real challenge for me to try to find people who actually want to come and sit in front of the camera and have their makeup done, who are comfortable with that, not to mention, you know, work with my schedule. So that is a real challenge for me. It still is something that I want to do. I'm working to make those types of videos happen for you. So fingers crossed, if I have some friends or other clients who maybe want to sit for us for one of these videos, we can make that happen this summer. We'll see how it goes, but I still hope that this type of video and other future bridal videos will be helpful for you, because it's a big part of work in our industry. If you have any more questions about this makeup look, you can leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them as best I can. And of course, I will see you back here next Wednesday. Bye everyone.